to Off the Record, talking real estate with Joe and Makayla. If you're interested in the Portland, Oregon real estate market and want the unvarnished inside scoop, you've come to the right place. Thanks for giving us a listen. Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Hello, Makayla.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. It's Friday. The sun is out. People are happy. Yeah, we got an offer on one of our properties.
It is a good day.
It is a good day.
It's a bright and shiny day. I love seeing people walk around downtown again.
Yeah. We are in the Live Portland studios located here in the Northwest Pearl, Sotheby's office. And it's a fantastic day, and we've got a really cool conversation for everyone today. Today, I'm going to be interviewing a home buyer who decided to move up from the home they were living in and make a purchase on a larger home. That home buyer is Makayla Mast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So fun.
So we thought, there's a lot of folks out there that are, it's a daunting task and it's a daunting undertaking to decide that you're going to either sell your home or keep your home and try to find something larger, different area, whatever the case might be. We call them move-up buyers because you're moving up from the home you have now to something that's usually larger, probably more expensive, and it just can be a very difficult task. And so we thought we would interview, or I thought I would interview, Makayla today and just kind of give you guys some insights into her journey and how that all came about. So thank you, Makayla, for allowing me to grill you.
I'm in the hot seat today.
You are in the hot seat.
I'm excited.
I told her I would not make her cry.
You did say that.
Yeah.
Hopefully only happy tears, if anything.
There absolutely will be happy tears. So first question, what made you and your husband decide that this was something you wanted to do? What made you, want to make the move?
We are currently living in a 2-bed, 1-bath house. It's around 1,000 square feet with 2 dogs. And I don't know about you, but we have so much stuff.
Yeah.
And we love our sweet little house, but it just felt like it was time for more space. We started to feel like we were busting at the seams and just ready for an upgrade. Yeah.
And you guys have a fantastic home. I love your home so much.
Thank you.
You guys have done such a wonderful job with it.
Thank you.
All sorts of updates. You guys took down some trees, really have made it your own, and you and your husband have spectacular taste. So it is
Thank you.
Wonderful. So that's good. So let me ask, what steps did you take to figure out how to get this done? What was your kind of process for going from, could we do this? Should we do this? To, yep, we're doing this.
Sure. So I'll back up a little bit, give some more context. So we bought our current house 3.5 years ago with the goal to renovate it and then keep it as a rental because we were lucky to buy that home when the interest rates were around 2%, believe it or not. So we always knew that that was going to be a home that we were going to hold on to for investment purposes, but that it definitely wouldn't be our forever home. So when we were doing upgrades to this current home, we kind of always had that in mind, like, let's not go too luxury. We're not going to be living here forever. Let's, a step above lipstick on a pig, but enough to make it renter proof. We've had to do some projects twice because we didn't do it right the first time. It was a lot of learning. So after we bought that house and took the hit, we started to, make sure we could keep our credit scores really high, and then almost immediately started saving for this next house. And then fast forward to around summertime of last year, we started to reach out to our lenders again and just kind of see where things were at on that side of things, make sure, all of our ducks were in a row, which takes some time. You got to make sure your taxes are paid and you don't have too much debt. So we were working on those things. And then in the fall, we got a lot more serious, started kind of looking, but not enough to pull credit or anything like that with our lender. So we didn't do that until just about a month and a half ago when we got really serious.
Wow. And let me ask, who was more on board with this? Was it you or your husband or were you both just all in from the get-go?
I think we were both really all in.
Yeah. That's kind of the sense I got too.
Yeah. We are literally, it's all comes down to the bathroom. We are literally in like a 5 by 6 bathroom. So every night when, we're trying to get ready for bed, it's always a conversation.
Right. Who goes first?
Yeah.
Why are you taking so long?
Yes. And we also both work from home a lot of the times. So it feels like we're on top of each other.
Yeah.
But we, again, love this little home, and the yard was really big. The location was great. It was a great investment, but it was always in the back of our minds that we're like, okay, we need to get out of here if we ever want to grow our family.
Yeah. So you've been there 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So let's talk about your search process. You kind of outlined, when you started that, but how long did that really take?
We didn't get super serious until the end of January, and we close on our home next week. April 10th. So just a couple months.
Yeah.
It felt a lot longer than it was probably. But I would say the refreshing Zillow on a daily basis probably started in February.
Yeah. And I know that this was not the first time that you made an offer on. How many total offers did you make?
This was our 4th offer.
Wow. And that's a good indication, folks, of where our market's at. The cream of the crop homes, the ones that check all the boxes for most of the people, if they're priced right, you're still getting multiple offers on it.
Right. And like you touched on criteria, our criteria was very specific and I wasn't willing to budge. So
what were your top 3?
That meant that, it felt like our criteria was similar to everyone else's.
Yeah.
Location. So we wanted to be in Cedar Mill or Cedar Hills, but in Washington County still, which is very hard to find. We wanted a 4-bedroom, 2,000 square feet or more, and then a lot with 8,000 square feet or more.
Right. Because you got puppies.
We got puppies, and I love to garden. We spend so much time outside hosting in the summer, so that was really important to us. But the first 2 offers we wrote were competitive situations, and we missed out, and it was heartbreak and the whole thing. And then we wrote another offer on this house that checked all of the boxes, but it wasn't the right house.
I know. And
we had that offer out, which I just think this is worth noting because even as a broker, I have all this insight and I do this all the time, but it's so different and it's hard to articulate really knowing when a home is the one until you go through it. So we kind of saw this house that we're sale pending on now on a whim. We kind of were like, let's just go see it. I was like super sick and we just got in the car and went, and I walked in the home and I said probably 12 times, this is our house. I have to have this house. And I called Joe. I was like, we have a big problem. I have an offer out on another property. We want to act in good faith. So we decided to cancel our offer on the other property and then write on this one, even knowing that it was going to be a competitive situation. So we were one of 4 offers and we put all our eggs in one basket, but we felt like this was the one to do that for.
Yeah. So being a broker and being a professional, who is Makayla's the best. She is absolutely fantastic.
From the best.
But it was interesting for me to watch you go through this process because we talked a lot and just to see the anxiety and the stress and the hope and the defeat and just all of the emotions and everything. Was it a revelation to you, or did you, being the professional you are, all these things, but going through it yourself, what was that like? Did it ever kind of make you look back and go, oh, wow, yeah, this is a crazy emotional thing that we're going through? Yeah,
it was an emotional roller coaster. I think I learned, I have so much empathy for our clients that are going through this. Is you just, like you said, you get your hopes up. You just want it so, so, so bad. It's a lot of work to put together an offer. It's a lot of just money jumbling, at the very least. And then to get let down and have to just search over and over again. Yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster. I think one thing I learned is our buyer clients, sometimes they can be a little hard to read when we call them with the news that they didn't get that offer accepted. I think what I learned is no matter what, I'm going to do something very kind for them when they don't get that offer accepted, because I really know how it feels. And a lot of times I think they try to keep a brave face for us. Yeah. And I know that it's very, very sad. So
I know. And I felt, when you didn't get those first two, I just, your heart breaks. And we feel about that way about all our clients. But, you and I are friends, and it was just like, oh, dang.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
yeah.
It was a lot. But it all worked out because this was our favorite home by far. So,
yeah, it is
everything
beautiful.
happened for a reason.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
You know what I keep going back to, because I have puppies too. And I keep going back to how cool it's going to be on that first day when you bring the boys over.
I know.
And let them run around. They're going to be like, you never let us run in someone else's house. This is crazy.
Right? I know. We're so excited. We're going to video them going through their yard for the first time.
That's going to be fantastic.
So for the listener, it's obviously a huge no-no to bring your dogs to a house that you don't own yet. Like in the real estate process, if there's ever a showing, if there's ever a question whether you could bring your dog to a showing, the answer is no.
Yeah.
But we were up there last night and to check because the deck is getting done and we wanted to bring the dog so bad. And it even would have just been in the yard, but we're waiting. We're waiting a couple more days and then we're going to let them loose. It's going to be very exciting.
Good. Way to hold back. I think the big reveal for them will be fun.
Yeah. Very cute.
That's cool. So you're not selling your current home. What does the rental process look like for you? What were your steps that you took to kind of figure out, okay, we're sale pending on the home that we want to buy, and now we got to get this one rented. And I know there were some, for your financing, they wanted to see a rental contract within a certain amount of days. So a lot of stress there.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
So, to be completely honest, even as a licensed broker, I had no idea how in over my head I was getting.
Yeah.
Because the rental management side and the real estate side could not be more different.
Yeah. Way more different rules, different laws. It's something.
Yeah. It's nothing to just do on a whim on your own.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have so many resources and tools and insight and contacts to just, bounce ideas off of. So that made me feel a lot more comfortable. But I think the hard thing was the timeline. Like Joe said, I had to get a renter in there in order to close on this next house. And it wasn't just getting the renter. It was having a signed rental agreement and deposits fully into our account. That didn't mean the deposits were on the way. They had to be fully transferred, deposited
you had to show
into our
them
accounts. Yeah.
To your mortgage broker with proof that, okay, this was deposited.
Right. Which is totally fair on the financing side. It was kind of crazy. So when we started looking for homes more seriously in February, we also started looking at rentals to just kind of see, what similar homes we're renting for in our area to just kind of get a range on what ours might rent for.
Is that through Zillow?
We did any of the rental sites. Yeah. But Zillow was our greatest tool that we used by far. They've come a really long way with this whole process. It's actually pretty easy. Once you understand the laws, you have to understand your local rules and laws, then it's easy to navigate. So the biggest part is getting your home ready. So that was, once we got our offer accepted, we were like, oh crap.
Here we go.
We heard at like 8 p.m. and by 8 a.m. the next morning, my husband had done more projects on the house than he had in a while, which no shame at all. It was just crazy how he's like, wow, I can't believe how fast I did those things. Yeah. So after that, we got our photos done. We submitted it to Zillow, and amazingly enough, there was a lot of interest. So the rental market is really competitive right now. Yeah, it's even crazier than the purchasing market. Really? Yeah. So we had like 24 people request to show the house or to see it. So we just did an open house instead because, managing all those showings would have been a nightmare. We had like 3 people from out of state do FaceTime tours. It was crazy. And then, so you can't accept applications until your home has been advertised for 72 hours. So that happened to be at 11 a.m. on a Monday. Right. So once that application period opened up, we were lucky enough to get 7 applicants. Wow. Yeah. Fantastic. So, yeah. And what were your impressions of the rental applicants overall?
Were you happy with the group that you got?
So happy. We had to just, because they met all of our criteria, we just wrote their names and put them in a hat and drew.
Oh, wow.
Names, which is how you're supposed to do it if people submit at the same time. So it's all like a timing thing. So we had 3 couples submit at 11 a.m. on the dot.
Whoa.
So, and they were all equally qualified, and we met and loved all of them. So,
wow. That's great.
Yeah, it was a really pretty easy process.
So besides Zillow, were there any other websites or any other resources that you use to kind of familiarize yourself with what the laws and the process look like?
We took the Oregon ordinance laws, all those packets that are 100 pages long, and we put them into ChatGPT.
Of course you did.
And which helped a lot.
AI to the rescue.
Reading through that is just, you confuse yourself even more. And then we also have a past client she's lovely, who was generous enough to get on the phone with me. So she was able to answer all the questions that I had that I was a little squirrely about.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. This episode is sponsored by JT's West Coast Gutter and Roofing. They are a local family-owned company out of North Plains, Oregon. They service all of the Portland metro area and specialize in all things roofing and gutters. They do roof cleanings, obviously installs, repairs, and same thing with gutters and downspouts. So if you're noticing that your home needs some attention, I would highly recommend giving them a call. We will link their information in the show notes. They are the folks that we trust with all of our clients. They are super quick to come out and give free estimates. And their pricing is really fair. They can always get us on the schedule really fast, which is helpful. And if there's ever any issues after the fact, they're very quick to come back and fix, those mistakes as well. And they have amazing warranties that they're happy to transfer from seller to buyer.
Yeah, and the bottom line is they're just wonderful people. I love working with them, and they, without fail, do a fantastic job on time. It's just been great working with them. So we're so excited to have them as a sponsor of the show. There is a bonus for the off the record listeners today, isn't there, Makayla?
There is. So if you reach out to JT's West Coast Gutter and Roofing and reference this episode, they will give you 5% off of any service. So
5%?
That could go a long way.
Jeez,
with
Louise.
A roof replacement or even a gutter replacement.
Yeah.
And even if you just need a roof and gutter cleaning, that'll go a long way too. So their number is 503-681-8479. So I'd recommend giving them a call or reaching out to them via email. Thanks for sponsoring us.
Fantastic, folks. Highly recommend. 5 stars. All right, guys. Thank you.
Now back to the show.
Okay, so as we discussed, you bought your home without selling your current home, and you're going to keep that as a rental, as an investment. Mm-hmm. Kudos. Awesome.
Thank you.
So, without going into too many details on this, what did that financing process look like for doing that type of transaction?
Sure. So as we touched on earlier as well, we had this in the back of our minds for several months. So we were really paying attention to keeping our debt low, which is hard to do. Mm-hmm. And so that was always a conversation every single month. We worked hard to pay down our cars and keep our credit cards low. Mm-hmm. That way, when we actually went to apply, it wasn't so scary and there wasn't so much to do. And so that, I think, was helpful. And then we weren't totally sure if we had to have that renter in there prior to closing, but it worked out pretty well. So it wasn't too terrible. That was mainly it.
Yeah. And for those of you out there that are thinking about doing something like this and holding on to your home, it's just a conversation with your lender, mm-hmm. And having that conversation, they'll ask you a bunch of questions, it's not a difficult process, and they should be able to tell you really quickly. And if you're looking for an amazing lender, go to our website. We have a couple of them on there, liveportland.com. Click on blog or podcast, and you can find that information on our site. So that's cool. So to wrap this up, what advice would you give anyone thinking of moving up to a new home right now? What's your takeaway?
Start early. Understand with the financing side, understand that your monthly payment is going to be more than your current one. There's no real way to get around that right now, especially because if you're moving up, you're likely going to be purchasing a more expensive home, which means your loan amount is going to be more. Trying to think of the interest rates are higher, obviously. One thing we did was we offered over the asking price, but we asked for seller concessions and we used that to buy down the interest rate. So that's probably my biggest advice in this climate right now. But it actually is a really great time to buy despite, me having to write multiple offers. There is still less competition than there has been previously.
By over half.
Right.
Half as many buyers in the marketplace as there were a year or two ago.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And if you're not looking for a premier home, then chances are it won't be competitive at all. So,
yeah.
And then understand that it's going to take some time. You might get let down. You might miss out on a couple, but it's part of the process. Even as a broker, I lost out on some offers. So it is just part of it right now. And then I had one other thing and now has lost my mind.
To make a note on what you just said, there are premier, just absolutely fantastic homes out there right now that haven't sold and haven't gotten multiple offers.
Good point.
Because they overpriced to start with, right? Or maybe there's one little flaw, right? There's, a driveway that has an easement or the lot's really, really small. But there's great finds out there right now. And for those homes that have sat on the market for a while, you can get a great deal on stuff right now.
Absolutely.
The homes we're talking about and, the criteria that you were looking for, that is like, the cream of the crop and everyone's looking for that. And those that are just have no flaws and are perfect, great location, great home, well-maintained, really great floor plan, those type of things. Yeah, those are still going to be a hot commodity.
Absolutely. My last piece of advice, which I actually think is the most important and the thing I learned the most from this process, is don't be afraid to bug your broker to see homes. You don't have to just go see your top 2 homes, your top 3 homes that you think you like based on the photos. Go see everything that meets your criteria.
Because you never know.
You never know. This house that I walked into, that is my dream home, I probably could have passed it.
Yeah.
Just because of the feeling I got on the pictures. I didn't even have a real reason. I think a lot of times our clients don't want to bother us, but this is what we do. And this is what we love to do. It's not taking up too much of our time to go see 24 houses.
Yeah.
As long as we're being productive with it and you have a set of criteria, I don't think there's any harm in that whatsoever. So yeah, go see the houses.
Yeah. And another thing is call your broker. You and I talked all the time. Hey, what do you think about that? Can you check this out? Or, all sorts of different questions. And that's what we're here for. We want to help support you in your journey. Doing the things beforehand is critically important. And I think you and your husband did a fantastic job of getting yourself set up so that you can make this happen and do it in a way that you're going to be comfortable with. And then it's just a matter of finding the right home, which is, part of the process, a difficult part of the process sometimes. But at that point, you're not stressed about, we see it too often where people put the cart in front of the horse and go look at homes before they've got the rest of the stuff figured out.
Yeah, more often than not, it seems like. Gosh.
Yeah, not the ideal way to go for your stress levels and for also getting into the home that you want. Every now and again, or actually more often than, we really want to see, people find their dream home, hey, we've been thinking about moving up and they've got no plan for what they're going to do with their current home. They don't have their finances in order. At least they haven't had the conversation with the lender, but they found this perfect home and they want to make an offer. Well, if you don't have a pre-approval, good luck with that.
Right.
And if you don't have your plan for what you're going to do with your home, you don't know what if you're selling it, what you're going to get, your estimated net proceeds on that, those type of things, it's difficult and stressful. So
absolutely,
we thought we'd get this podcast out there so that people can see how it's done
in the flesh.
Done.
It is possible.
It is possible. Yes. And Makayla hit it out of the park.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, thank you to our sponsor. We really appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. And until next time, have a great day.
Bye. Thanks for joining us today. If you're interested in finding out more about Joe, myself, or the Live Portland team, you can go to liveportland.com. Thanks for giving us a listen, and see you next time on the Off the Record podcast.